So the whole idea behind this thing, which I think is still sort of evolving, is just to have a fairly honest conversation, unscripted. It's not an interview or anything like that. It's really just an informal conversation from the faculty perspective, which would be mine, and the student perspective, which would be Ana's, as we come into this fall term at COD that's going to be really unlike any other term we've ever had, for obvious reasons. There's Ana's cat.
Just making an appearance. Sorry about that.
Exactly what I'm talking about. This is going to be a semester where your cat just shows up on camera, and that's what. So I'll introduce myself in a second, but Ana, can you introduce yourself and kind of give us the scoop on where you're at this fall?
Yeah, my name's Ana, which you just said. But I am technically at my last full year at COD. I took a bunch of easy classes at first, so now I'm taking a little bit of harder ones, which kind of stinks because everything's online, and I am a very visual learner, and I like to be in the classroom when I'm learning. So for everything to be transferred online is kind of nerve-wracking, just because I don't know what to expect. I don't think anyone really knows what to expect, and it's going to be a process that we're going to have to learn to go through and learn to deal with.
And so we're recording this or having this conversation on Tuesday, just under a week before classes officially start. So we're getting to that point where it's no longer like a theoretical thing. People are busy planning, both on the student side and the faculty side. So what is your mix of classes? Do you have like fully asynchronous and some of the VCM classes coming up, or what is your fall going to entail for you? How many classes too?
Yeah, I'm taking 4 classes this semester, and it's 2 VCM classes and then 2 actual, like, just specifically online classes. And I tried to get VCMs for all 4 of them, but unfortunately some of them didn't have the option to go VCM, and that kind of like stinks because, you can't. For me, I'm like, I need to be in a setting where like I see the teachers, they're teaching. But I mean, I can also look at it a different perspective. It's like, okay, now I'm going to actually have to really be disciplined and push myself to learn just by myself.
Did you have much option when it came to the VCMs that you did pick, as far as like the exact days and times, or was it kind of just there's one section so you have to take that one? Like, did you try to organize a schedule for yourself at all, or was it just that's what they were?
I did try to organize a schedule with myself just so I could have classes in the morning, start getting myself in like a little bit of a routine. And some sections did have a wider variety than more than others. I know when I was helping one of my friends pick out her classes, the English classes had like a lot of options, and I was actually really surprised by that. But let's say like a macroeconomics class, or a class that probably not a lot of people are going to be taking, didn't have as much of variety, which is understandable because I think even with, like, if it was in person that we were meeting, there wouldn't be that many options either way.
Yeah. That reminds me, I forgot to introduce myself. So I'm Jason Snart. I'm one of the chairs of the English department. I'm technically chair of literature creative writing and film. So that's my role at the college. I've been there for almost 2 decades now, honestly, teaching almost everything under the sun between composition, creative writing, lit, all kinds of different stuff in there. So that's my position at the college. And then, like you, coming into this fall, I actually have that same mix of some of the VCM classes, some of the fully just net classes where there's no specific day or time. So I'm trying to imagine, just like you are, like what these are going to sort of like feel like. Not even just, I know the days, I know the times, I even know the class number, at least right now, but I still really don't know, to be honest, what that dynamic is going to be like when we're all together in the video format, like the synchronous video format, because even that's not really the same as being there physically face to face in real time, where people can, you know, talk over one another, and there can be multiple conversations at the same time, which is sometimes like fun to do in a class. So
Hmm.
there can be a lot of just like discovering as we do the thing. Do you have any idea how big your classes are, like your VCMs?
I believe they are around like 25 people,
Wow.
around 25, 30 people. So just, I didn't even like take that into consideration, just thinking about 30 people on just one Zoom call. It's stressful for the student and stressful for the teacher. If I was a teacher, I'd be very stressed out right now because thinking about like 30 students just in one setting, it's like like even just, it makes it so kind of like impersonal to an extent, because when we're in class we can like stay after class, talk to the teacher, but now it's like, what if we wanted to do that? Like, are we just gonna like have like press a little hand raise in the Zoom, like, hey, can I stay after class to talk to you? Or are we gonna like privately message them? It's just, I don't know, it's so weird to think about.
Yeah, I think for everybody, it's just going to be, we won't know until it happens, and we can predict some things, but a lot of it, it's just going to happen, and then we'll have to kind of adjust. That's why I'm hoping, certainly, the message to my colleagues, and what I've tried to embrace myself, is like, I tried to do some planning and scaffolding and basic framing, but because so much is going to be discovery by doing, things are going to be pretty flexible and almost built on the fly, not in a haphazard way, but quite the opposite, like intentionally reflecting what the actual needs of students are and how big the class is. And do we work as a group of, let's say, 10 people, or do I have to like plan those VCM sessions where it's almost always using that breakout room feature in the video conferencing thing? Because like you said, like even 10 is a lot to have as a group. Like that's a lot of video tiles, and people are kind of loath to jump in because then your mic cuts over people, and the whole technology is just, it's not the same as having folks in a room together.
Right. Yeah, and then just even, I think that definitely the loath to like jump in because then you cut off someone was definitely one of the reasons why in the spring I like didn't want to like jump in as much, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait for someone, but then you're waiting too long and no one's responding. It's like, okay, now it's just awkward at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, which happens in a class setting either way, but I think it's a little bit more awkward when you're doing it online.
Yeah, I agree. People are like too polite, but you don't really want the opposite where everyone's mic is live like all the time too, because that's just chaos.
Yeah, that would be just chaos. I mean, you'd have like my cat. He just loves to run around and scratch at things, and I'm like, Picasso, stop making so much noise.
So what would your ideal like day one look like for you in one of your VCM classes?
Um, I think it would honestly just kind of be an introduction and kind of just discussing what's going on. You know, acknowledging like we are in a very weird time right now, and things are not going to be as they were before. They aren't going to be, oh yeah, this is the syllabus, follow the syllabus is what we're going to do, or even just, there's just so much that needs to be addressed. You know, the current state of just everything in the world. And I think if we don't acknowledge that within our classes, there's something that's lacking. And it's not just like the obvious of coronavirus, but even just like the politics and like the like so much different avenues of it. And I would love for that to be addressed, just so like I think it would set like a safer tone in a sense for the classroom, and would make people more willing to discuss what's going on, or even just to discuss in general, because I think people need to feel an empathetic tone in order to feel like they can really talk. And I don't know, just in like if it was regular, if everything was just quote unquote regular in life right now, I would say, oh, I just want everyone to just start teaching right away, because I don't want to do the whole name game, but I think right now it's probably better because, yeah, we've kind of been in isolation for so long, in a sense. And some of us haven't really gone out or done anything, and some of us have because we have work or things like that, and also the the bar was kind of like lifted in a sense of what we can do. But even still, it's so weird that we have lost a lot of like connection, personal, like human connection.
Yeah, so I'm kind of hearing you say that the one of the things that you'd be looking for, in addition to like a connection with your instructors, is a sense of like community, like we are actually all in this together as a class, maybe even more so, where if you're in a classroom, like literally in that physical space with people 2 or 3 times a week, a lot of instructors work to build community, but it's almost like it kind of unfolds naturally, especially if it's a conversational type class and people are discussing things. You get to know people's names and you sort of build that sense of connection. But even though we're meeting like on a regular basis, but virtually, it's almost like we need to work a little bit harder to build that sense of community, because it's like even more important than usual, outside of whatever the course content is.
Right. And we honestly don't know what anyone else has gone through these past like several months, who they've lost, what what they've been affected by, but just everything that's gone. In addition to coronavirus, 2020 has kind of been crap in a lot of different aspects. So I think it's also just the keeping in mind that we may be going through some hard stuff ourselves, but we don't know what anyone else is dealing with as well.
Yeah.
And even that goes like towards student towards teacher and teacher towards student. We're just all people that need to be a little understanding with each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to like kind of imagining how a class will work, and again, not so much the content, but just like how often are we going to meet, how many people are in each of the sessions, how long are they going to be, like all of those details. How much say would you want to have as a student in all of that stuff? Or how much are you looking to have that kind of figured out for you by the faculty member who's supposed to be, designing and teaching the class? Does that make sense?
Yeah. I would want them to at least know, like, hey, this is what time, like obviously what time we're meeting, what days we're meeting. I feel like that should just be like a set thing. And if like need be like an extra day, then they can probably talk to, like that can be an open discussion that they have, if the teacher feels comfortable with that, if the students feel comfortable with that. I guess also having a little direction on how the Zooms are going to work. Are they just going to send us an email? I don't necessarily know how that's going to happen. We're going to have to log into Blackboard and it's like, okay, here's your email for this Zoom class. It's so bizarre. What's going to happen?
So I've been wondering actually, and you can fill me in on this, because like if you sign up for a class, normally, the day, the time, and the classroom that you have to go to, like you can figure that out, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not even sure, like, do students know how to begin to even begin? Like where you get the link that you were just talking about, whether it's Zoom or Blackboard Collaborate? Like, have you gotten any information about on Tuesday at 11 or whenever your class is going to meet, like where are you supposed to go?
No, we have not gotten any type of information. I haven't checked Blackboard in a little bit. So maybe there's something on there and maybe the teachers are being told to send emails personally. I feel like that would be kind of bogus for the teachers, because that's so much responsibility that should also be part of like COD's part to inform students. So it's like, hey, like you'll be getting emails from your teachers, But no, nothing of that. Maybe within the week. But even so, it's still such a short, like cutting it close. But again, everything is still so new, so it's very give and take with everything, because I can see both sides of like, okay, well, what's going on, but also understand, well, I don't think anyone knows what's going on, so that's kind of not fair to put that pressure either.
But you check your COD email pretty regularly, so it's not like weeks or days go by, right? So you're kind of on top of it.
Right, yeah, I have my Outlook on my phone, so I can like know when I'm getting the emails or not. But nothing, no, they sent one, I believe, yesterday, and it was about, I believe, just like, oh, your classes are going to start soon. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, no, thanks. I just want to know about the Zooms, though. Like when, oh, it's just, and like, it's not just like, I mean, for me, like, I'll go to class like the first day, but some students don't even go to class the first day because they're still trying to figure themselves out. Like, oh man, I got to get back into the school routine. So I can only, I mean, it'd probably be a little easier because now you just have to kind of show up in a camera and don't have to like drive COD, find parking in that horrendous parking lot. And it takes off that part and you just have to kind of show up. So I don't know, maybe there'll be like better attendance.
Yeah, well, way to find the silver lining, like no parking problems.
Exactly.
So, how do you, uh, how do you, like, without getting too specific, maybe, how does the rest of your life kind of fit in with school or vice versa? Like, what other things do you have going on that might impact school, or how does school impact other things that you're doing?
So I do work a full-time job, and I'm only I'm only thankfully my job works with my school schedule a lot. And that's not, but not a lot of people have that option. I'm a server at Buffalo Wild Wings, so I can easily pick up shifts if I need to, or take off shifts if I don't. But even with that, it's a little, again, give and take, because we are so short staffed right now. And when we do schedule people, it's, we need everyone there because we're only scheduling an X amount of people because of coronavirus. So going back with like school, it does stress me out a little bit to think about like school and work, um, because I want to be doing well in my classes, but I also know I have to work in order to keep up with rent and any of my other bills that I have. And then I'm also part of this like artistic group, and they also have expectations of me that I have to be doing, because it's it's a it's a group that I'm part of. It's my team, and it's a lot of balance that I'm gonna have to learn how to do. But I think like having the online and the VCMs kind of gives me a little bit of a leeway, because I'm not even spending time going to COD, like actually driving over there. That's how I see it as. Like, okay, well, now I can just easily click end, and I'm here already in my home. I can set up and do what I have to do. So I think that could be like a positive note in a sense. But yeah.
So this is a really corny question, but it's one of the things that I'm going to talk with my classes week one, once we get everyone kind of like plugged in and on board. How do you organize all that stuff? Do you have like a day planner? Do you use your phone? How do you keep track of it all?
I do have a planner, but I haven't been using it just because I haven't had anything really to do. I think I should start using it though. And I definitely need to be better at time management, because I procrastinate a ton, a ton. And it's literally going to be my downfall, because I know that I'm supposed to be doing things, and I'm just sitting here watching It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I'm cracking up, but the back of my mind, I feel the anxiousness of, hey, you're supposed to be doing something right now.
It's people like making bad decisions just over and over and over again, and there you are making a bad decision.
I'm like, oh, this is fine. This is great. I'm just distracting all the work that I have to do with TV right now. And I think a lot of us can do that. I think it's just having to learn that discipline of like, okay, you need to be doing stuff right now. But it's also like everything is supposed to be taken with a grain of salt. So maybe, you're working, you don't want to overwork yourself either. Just take like a 30-minute break. Like, okay, I'm just specifically just gonna watch TV right now. That's all I'm gonna really focus on. And then I'll get back to doing my stuff. But I think I definitely need to use my planner more because I can definitely feel that I'm a little off step with my responsibilities with my artistic group, vice versa, and then having to balance that with work. And now I'm throwing in something else. So it's like, if I can't learn how to do that right now, I'm worried that I'm not going to be able to do it later.
I think we're all going to be sort of figuring that out week one of school. That's why I hope that for most people, week one, and maybe even sort of part of week two, it depends how week one goes, isn't even so much like a content or here's like the 5 terms we're going to lose or whatever for that first go. It's just like, where are we going to meet? How are we going to meet? Where's the link? What's the schedule? Does everyone's camera or mic work? Like just really baseline stuff. How's everyone going to keep track of their schedule? And like, because you don't even know for your 2 VCMs really what the process is, like those 2 VCMs might look totally different. One might use Zoom, one might use Collaborate in Blackboard. They might have different kind of like ways that they use the synchronous meeting time. I feel like people are going to have to build themselves some kind of, or I would have to, I guess, build some like a planner or a calendar that actually shows what link do I use for which class, because they're not always going to be the same.
Right. And like I can't even imagine for like 4 classrooms if they have 4 different types of links. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like you end up in the wrong classroom at the wrong day. Like, oh, I don't know where I'm at right now.
I can see that totally happening. What's your favorite It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode? Keep it PG.
So I just started watching it, but so far it is when Charlie is going to AA because the gang set a building on fire. And then Dennis and Mac have to teach they have to coach basketball for kids. And at the end, there's like the end scene where the game's rigged by Dennis's dad, and Charlie ends up showing drunk because his sponsor, who's also the girl he's like obsessed with, ends up quitting on him because she's interested in Dennis, which is his best friend. And they're just like all going back and forth. And Charlie's playing referee, but he's also playing in the game and smacking balls out of the kids' hands. And it's just so ridiculous. And then he just turns at the end, like there's just so much chaos, and you can just feel the chaos coming from the show. And he turns and he's like, just say what you did, and points at the sponsor who was, helping him because she didn't want to sponsor him anymore. And it's just it's a ridiculous show, but it's hilarious.
It is. It's pretty wild. I can only watch so much of it. I've been unable to binge watch It's Always Sunny because I get to the point where so
you're cringing.
Decisions over and over and over again. I can't take it anymore.
Yeah. My friend who got me into it was like telling me the same thing. He was like, I have to put it away because I'm cringing too hard about what's going on. But yeah, it's an interesting show.
So as far as fall coming up here, is there anything else that you want to talk about now? I feel like a lot is going to unfold as it unfolds, but anything else on your mind?
No, I'm just kind of seeing where it's going to go. no one really knows what's going on. So I think worrying about it does me no good and would do like anyone else any good, because it would be just a need for control. And for some people, they need that because like of either like anxiety or something, so they need to know like what is going on. But right now, like you're just putting more mental stress on yourself by doing that. And so it's just let's just see how it goes, you know. And if you do get like a teacher that's being a kind of like a hard ass, then I mean, just remind them, hey man, we're in the middle of COVID. We're in the middle of something big. You're still acting like this? Come on.
Yeah. Go watch some Sunny in Philadelphia and chill out, right?
Exactly. Go chill out. Go take a chill pill.
Cool. Well, it was awesome having this conversation. I hope we can do this again, maybe soon after classes start, just to touch base with one another, see how things are going, what's gone well, what's maybe not going so well.
Yeah, definitely. And just feedback on both ends of, what's even like how it from the teacher's perspective. I think students would be intrigued to learn that too.
Yeah. I'm excited to find out.